Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you're not going crazy if you are locked down like I am. So, as you'll have seen by the title, we're talking about this issue here. It sucks. Okay, so if you're anything like me, then wearing masks all the time doesn't really agree with your face. And obviously if you have seen my video that I did on it a couple of weeks ago, you'll see that I actually lost my entire business right before Christmas. So it's been pretty stressful, and I think that that's got a lot to do with it. Anyway, to be honest, if I'm going out and about with a mask on and I know I'm going to have it on the majority of the time, I really am worried. I don't want to add anything extra to it, so I just don't do anything about it. If I know that I'm going to be out and about, maybe outside or something like that, and I just want to feel a wee bit better, I just want to look, you know, I want to feel a little bit more confident, then obviously I want to try and cover up this just horrificness on my face. Don't mind if you see like little bits of silver on my face. It's from my last tutorial. As you'll have seen by the title of this video, we're going to be covering my face today. We're going to be covering this. It's maskne, acne, whatever you want to call it. The stress has made it come up into my forehead. My skin hasn't been this bad in a really, really long time. So I'm just going to show you what I've been doing to cover it up. I do have a foundation on the way that I want to try. They basically claim to be transfer resistant and great for under masks, so we'll see. We'll test that out and see how that works as well. Okay, so I don't have a concealer that matches my skin at the moment, but if it is something that you use and you normally cover your blemishes or breakouts or whatever with it, get your foundation, get your concealer first. I don't have one, so I'm going to use my little RCMA palette. These are really good as well because they are a cream foundation, so it's going to be really, 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 really highly pigmented, but it's not going to be too heavy. So I'm just going to get a little flat brush like this, and anything that is overly red or overly noticeable, I am going to basically just take the two darkest shades. I'm just going to go over the top of. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be neat, doesn't have to, you know, there's nothing special about it. It's just to really dull them down, because we're going to cover this anyway. If they're red, if you get stressed and you pick at your skin like I do, you're going to have ones that are just sort of red. There's no need to be colour correcting. Like, I see so many people colour correcting things that they really just don't need to colour correct. Like putting red lipstick underneath your eyes. You're just dulling it down a little bit. I went for quite a little bit darker, because if you go a tiny touch darker, like not noticeably that you're going to see splotches on your face, match it up with your foundation as best you can. Even you can mix a little bit of your foundation in with your concealer just to change the colour a bit, or even put a little bit of your foundation on a palette and let it sort of harden. I know that sounds horrible, but if it just needs to be thick. So obviously that is a little bit darker. I'm going to go in with my Born This Way foundation, and actually on the nozzle of this, you'll see what I was talking about. See how that's sort of like a little bit thick kind of thing? You can go in with that and see how pigmented it is. It's going to be completely a different shade from what I've already got on my face, but see how it's just a lot thicker. And you can just pat it out and it'll just give you a little bit extra coverage on that. Obviously my matching skills aren't really doing very well today, but never mind. Okay, so if you have oily skin, generally, if you have lots of breakouts, you have reasonably oily skin. But not always, because it can be something that's aggravated your skin as well. Hence, in my case, I have dry skin. If you've got very, very dry skin, I've been doing everything I can to keep mine hydrated, so I'm not particularly dry at the minute. Like, my skin is dry, but it's not like flaky and patches and stuff like that. There's one little bit in here, but I think it'll be okay. If you are very, very, very dry, use a sponge. A sponge will dilute your foundation, it'll shade it out, just layer it a little bit more and you'll get the same result. But if you are wanting to get a decent amount of coverage and you're not wanting to lose what coverage you have in your foundation, use a brush. This is the only foundation brush I have ever liked in my entire life. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the bristles, if it's the shape, if it's the size. I don't even want to buy another one of these just in case it's this specific brush. But find one that you like. I had given up a long time ago thinking that I would never like foundation brushes, and then I found this and I like it. Could just be that I'm looking after my skin better as well, so don't rule that out. Okay, so this is the JH03 brush. It's obviously Morphe. I'm going to put a couple of pumps on the back of my hand and then I'm going to put it on my face. So what I did there was I didn't go in and go crazy and rub it all around my face or anything like that. I know it is a buffing brush technically, but if you have breakouts, you don't want to aggravate them. If you have any sort of little dry, you know how sometimes when they're just about to heal and stuff like that, they'll have like a little bit of almost crustiness on top of them. You don't want to be aggravating that. You don't want to be lifting up little layers of skin and stuff like that. So what I do is I pat and drag. So it's like a little sort of, you pat it on, you drag it down. It's kind of like, because you're blending it that way, but you're not aggravating too much, and you're pulling down the way. So if you have a hairy face, you're not going to upset the hairs on your face either. Those little vellus hairs that we all love to hate. And what it does is eventually it just smooths the foundation on really nicely. And for my forehead, I just go side to side. So I'll do it one way. Sometimes I'll go side to side, but generally not so much, because this is where I have all of my really dry skin. So I have like a little patch of psoriasis there, and if I can use a brush over that, you can use a brush over anything. So a little pat and pull, pat and pull. My cat is like literally crawling on my table right in front of me. I'm just waiting for everything to go everywhere. And then at the end, what I'll normally do is I'll just go around and pat. What you can do is, if you have like a puff, I like this little Tatty Beauty one, you can sort of go around and just pat it all. Because if you have disturbed anything, it just means that you can flatten it down again. Just go around and pat it all. God, I look pale with this foundation shade on. Oh, my fake tan's worn off, and it is winter here in Scotland. Okay, so that is pretty much how I would cover it. Now, I don't have bad under eye circles. You can probably see, like, you can see like there's an indentation there, but I really don't have bad ones. So if I was going to add foundation, or not foundation, if I was going to add concealer to my under eyes, what I would do is I would literally just add it in here. Because the thing about wanting to go a little bit heavier coverage with your foundation to cover acne and things like that is you don't want to go crazy. Like over here, I don't actually have any discoloration, but I have like leftover eyeliner from the last look that I just did. You want to keep it as light as possible, because you're putting lots of foundation here or wherever it is that you've got your breakouts. You don't want to put loads of foundation everywhere, because then your whole face is going to look cakey. If you've got a little bit that sort of starts to cake up through the day, it's not going to be as noticeable as if your whole face was cakey, if you get what I mean. Then what I will do is, if I am feeling more on the dry side, I will cream contour. If I'm feeling more on the kind of normal side or whatever, I'll just do whatever I feel like doing on the day. I don't know what is going on with my brows just now. Anywho. Okay, so I just like finished off my brows and kind of the rest of my face makeup. The reason that I did the rest of my I mean, I haven't really done that much. I've only added bronzer and blush. I haven't even done a highlight or anything like that. The reason that I do that is because obviously if you're trying to cover up acne or acne scars or anything like that, you can go a little bit crazy and you can start throwing on pounds and pounds and pounds of makeup or foundation even, and you're not thinking about the end goal. So are you going to wear concealer? If you're going to wear concealer, obviously wherever you're going to put your concealer, don't put your foundation, because your concealer will do that anyway, and it is a wee bit more coverage, so you know it's going to do the job. You don't need one on top of the other. If I'm going to do concealer sort of in here to brighten, I don't put any foundation there. If I put foundation there, I don't put concealer there. Like I said, I added just a little bit sort of to my inner corner. If you're going to put blush up here, you don't need a massive amount of foundation up here, because your blush is going to be an extra layer to cover. Same with your contour. If your breakouts are all in here, chances are your contour is going to help cover it. I mean, mine like kind of, you know, there's bits up here. If you're using like a shimmery blush, yes, it can pick it up. If you're using a shimmery bronzer, same thing, it can pick it up. If you're using something that's matte and you're working to, you know, your own advantage, it will cover. So you don't want to have like packs and packs and packs of foundation underneath your bronzer, because then you've got like more of a layer of makeup, and then if you add contour as well, you're going to have more of a layer of makeup. So you want to keep it light. Keeping it light, I mean, if you want to look like a porcelain doll because you're filming, yeah, you can whack on loads. I mean, there's a girl on TikTok who does like 3 layers of foundation or something like that, and it on camera looks flawless, but in real life probably looks horrendous, even on her skin, which I think is pretty much perfect. There's no need and no point for it. If it's something that you like and that looks good on you, fine. But don't feel like it's something that you should do because you have to cover up your acne or rosacea or blemishes, you know, anything like that. So think about the things you're going to be adding on top as well. If you're doing cream products, you're adding another layer. So anything that's sort of hiding in here, just give it a little minute, do your other steps, and then obviously next time, you know, put a little bit more if it hasn't covered enough for you. This side of my face did have a lot of marks on it, but they were marks, they weren't active breakouts. Over this side, yes, there are ones that are still peeking through. This one is a belter, so there's nothing going to cover it. This one's a little bit sore as well, and these ones are just very red, and it's just because I don't want to pile more and more and more on it, because I know if I put more on that right now, that's as covered as they're going to get. If I put more on it just now, it's going to get cakey. Like I say, you might not mind that, but I do. I hate it, and I hate the feeling of it as well. So I know when to stop. So yeah, that's pretty much it.